Katharine is one of the owners of the Wortley Hotel. And if you follow any kind of Billy the Kid history, you do know about the Wortley Hotel. That is where the prisoners were when Billy broke out. And Bob Ollinger was running from the Wortley over to the courthouse when he was killed by Billy. So it is, most people, that's how they know it. But Katharine runs it with her husband and her family as a B&B. And Troy's an amazing cook. Katharine's a phenomenal hostess. It's one of my favorite places to stay in Lincoln. If you haven't had that opportunity, once Lincoln opens back up again, if I'm not mistaken, you guys won't be open at least until sometime in 2021.
Correct. That's what we're looking for.
Okay. So anyway, enough of me. No one wants to hear me talk. So I want to know from you, how did you end up in Lincoln?
Good question. I used to come here as a kid. I grew up in El Paso. My dad brought me up here. My mother, we used to stay at the Wortley. I didn't like it at all. I was bored. I was a bratty kid. But things changed. About 20 years ago, my parents retired here because it was still their favorite place. And my family and I were up in Denver, and we kept coming down to visit and visit more, and slowly but surely fell madly in love with the place. And then came my husband, and he fell madly in love with the place. And one day he said, we should do the Wortley. And there you go.
And there you go. The first time I ever stayed here, I actually stayed, I think I was one of the last people to ever stay at, hello, and I just blank. That's how I roll. Alice Store. See, Katharine saves me. So, and then the next year, I couldn't get a hold of them to stay. I didn't realize that they had left. Mm-hmm. And so I reached out to the woman who used to own the Wortley. And she's like, well, I've retired in Florida. You should get a hold of Katharine here. I'm like, okay. So I didn't know Katharine. And when we had talked a lot on the phone, and we had talked via email and gotten to know each other a little bit. So when we pulled in, it was late in the evening. And you guys had campers who were staying behind. You remember the guys?
Yes, yes.
I still follow his photos. He's amazing. And you and the girls were all wound up because they were all talking to these boys. And you guys been drinking. And we pull in, and you came running at us. Do you want wine? And this is how I met Katharine. And I see nothing wrong with this. Nini was like, I like this place already. And it's one of my favorite places. I really... Financially, I can't afford it currently, so I've been staying at a friend's when I come here. But it's my favorite place to stay. And if someone's coming here, I'm like, you have to go stay at the Wortley. And so that's how you got here. How long have you actually been running the Wortley now?
5 years.
I've been coming here for that long, huh? Okay. So how many? Can you tell us a little bit about the Wortley?
What do you want to know?
How many rooms? How many people?
We have 7 guest rooms, each with their own private entrance and bathroom and fireplace. It's kind of territorial style. Well, it's, for lack of better terms, it's set up like a motel where everybody has their own exterior entrance, which is fantastic. You can be right off the rocking chairs on the front porch or in the back and enjoy the views of the mountain. We have about a 30-person dining room inside with a kind of an old-timey bar where we serve breakfast each morning. So your stay includes breakfast. And we have, let's see, animals. They're my animals, much to my husband's dislike.
So we have, you have, if I'm not mistaken, there's a lot of chickens.
We have about 40 chickens now, and they provide your eggs. They work very hard for your breakfast each morning. We have some dairy goats. Couple random sheep, pig.
Isn't that Wade?
Waylon.
Waylon. I always get, and so I was close. It's a W name. W and an A. That's about all I got.
I have downsized considerably. I had about 12 goats. Now I only have 2.
Oh, where'd the other ones go? Do I even want to know?
Just nice homes to other places that weren't mine.
What was the one? Jolene.
Jolene is still there. Rosie and Jolene are still there.
Jolene is an escape artist, and I have video and pictures of her. She escaped one day when Angie and I were staying there, and she made her way into our room. And we were like, "What? Where did you come from?"
Sounds about right.
So I was like, I hope she kept Jolene.
Oh yeah.
One of the first times when we did come out, we went over to your mom's when the goats were there, And there's some great video and pictures of Nini and I with them all over us. It was one of the highlights of our trip. Highlights of our trip. It's the first time I realized goats had pupils that were up and down and not round, not even like cats. Yeah, I was like, I looked at one. I was like, what? I didn't have any idea. So when you come to the Wortley, not only do you get to feed chickens, you get to see baby animals and other animals, and you have this beautiful view. It's interesting. One of the times I stayed there, I was with Caden, my dog. Here comes another motorcycle. I apologize for everybody listening. So there was a thunderstorm, and it was bouncing from. So
There's a lot of motorcycles.
it is. Woohoo! Go guys! So the sound would bounce back and forth because Lincoln it falls between two sets of mountains, or in the middle of a mountain range. Which is it? I don't actually know.
The Capitans run that way.
Okay.
And these are just the sides of the
Okay.
valley.
So it bounced. Poor Caden was freaked out. And it was shaking the walls of the adobe of Wortley, and Caden was like, "I'm having none of it. I need to be outside in the rain." I'm like, "That sounds great. Let's go do that." So we sat on the porch and we watched it rain, and he was happy. As long as he doesn't have,
As long as he knows what's going on,
he's fine. Yeah, he's the same way with fireworks. If as long as he's outside, he'll watch a firework and be cool. But the minute he's indoors, I think it's a sense of self-preservation. He thinks it's all going to come down on him, and so yeah, he wants to go out into that rainstorm, and I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. So obviously, everyone comes here, and you must have repeat customers.
Yes, absolutely.
People that come back every year, not just for events, but just come by. What do you think it is about Lincoln that makes people return?
The peace and tranquility. One, the community is amazing.
Right.
And two, it's this perfectly preserved time capsule of history. It's so nice to just sit out on the front porch and watch things and do nothing. No cell service, tiny bits now. We're getting better with cell service, which is an awful thing. But, just to be able to come and unplug, we get tons of people that say, oh, nobody can reach me. It's fabulous. And, it's just peaceful. But you're still not in the boonies. You're not out roughing it and camping it. You're still
It's a version of glamping.
Yes, exactly. Glamping.
Where someone makes you breakfast sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
Glamping in history. And
Yep.
It's nice. So I'd say probably 80% of our customers are one-timers, that they're on the Billy the Kid Trail and they stay one night, and then about 20% are repeats that just keep coming back. Not for the history, just to relax and unwind. And
Yeah, I've had people say, yeah, I've driven through there. I'm like, why didn't you stop? Like, there's obviously stuff to
tons
do.
of people drive through about 10 times before they actually stop.
Oh, really?
And then they say, oh.
I should have done this before.
Right.
Especially when you're like, hey, for $5, you can now go into all the museums
Right.
of all these old buildings that have been here since Billy the Kid walked these streets. And speaking of Billy the Kid, so Billy, of course, is obviously, because I've been writing about him and other people have written about him, he holds a fascination. For me, I felt in some way I knew him. I grew up in theater. It's shocking. I know. Everyone's so surprised. And he was the kid that was involved in the school plays, and he sang and he danced, and I was like, wait a minute. This is the guy that became an outlaw. And so it was, and I think that's what it enticed me to learn more. That, and I read about Tunstall's murder, and all of a sudden I was super invested. And so I'm curious if you have any ideas of why you think Billy has held his popularity throughout the years.
Billy's pretty timeless. I think he was a likable guy. It's a different time that people just can kind of float back to, and sometimes I compare him to mobsters, no, this is bad. But
you're not really far off.
But they're good, but they're bad, and so you like them and they're intriguing, and so it's,
right.
I don't know. He did a lot of good as well as bad, so.
Yeah, I think so. And that's one of the things, it's interesting because that's it's like this mafia mentality with the Dolans and the Murphys, and that idea of that monopoly of we have all the contracts for all the money, and of course the minute you threaten that, you're threatening money, and if it's the only money in town, well, now you're going to have an issue. And that's really what Tunstall did. He was encouraged to do that by McSween. As a lawyer, you think you'd know better, but then again. So it's, to me, of course, I was just fascinated by the fact that there was all this conflicting information. So someone who writes fiction, I like the fact that I have a window that I can.
My chair for a second.
Oh, move. She's moving.
There we go. I'm good.
She's trying to keep the sun from her face.
Right.
So one of the things that I really do think is that people really relate to Billy in different parts of him, because he wasn't just one thing or the other. And so I thought that was a great window of opportunity to write him. I had someone who really knows, who's really involved in Lincoln County history. She doesn't live here. She lives, I believe, up in Colorado, but she likes to come down here for old Lincoln days. And she read Brewer and the newest one, Torment of Richard Brewer, and she's like, and she really, really liked it, and she thought it was just really a good and fun time. She goes, I forget now what she said, but something about there's still laughter with along with the I need to kill people kind of thing. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of what we're going for here. We want it to be entertaining. We want to throw in real history with the Curse of Billy the Kid and the Torment of Richard Brewer. And so I think it really does. I think it's timeless, and I think that's why people still write about him, including me and others. So I know that the Wortley is not going to open again until 2021. I work in healthcare, so a lot of us are saying things will maybe go back to the way they should be somewhere in the spring, which is when usually in April 1st usually is around then when Lincoln reopens anyway, isn't it? Okay. So if you guys are going to be out this way, when everything reopens, I highly recommend that if you are going to get out here, that people come by the Wortley. You should make a reservation. Go on to what is the website? Is
WortleyHotel.com.
It's simple. Wortley, WortleyHotel.com. And go ahead and give it a try, folks. You won't regret it. Yes, you will be lacking in cell service. Yes, there is no television in your room. But that's okay. That's why there is internet. There is towers a few places here, so you can do that. But mostly, you know what I always love is I love the fact that I have an excuse to tell people I'm not going to be available this weekend.
Right.
I mean, I might get your message, I might not.
Send me an email. I'll get it when I get it.
Yep. But I use the time a lot to take a lot of great photos and video and then post them later. So I know a lot of people are like, but I like to take pictures and post for my trip. Well, you can do it after.
Right.
So anyway, Katharine, thank you so much for joining us to talk about this. And if any of you have read the books and you actually do read the Who We Thank in the book and the people that's dedicated to, you understand that Katharine and her family are listed in there. They are truly, your family is one of the big reasons I moved out here. You guys made me really feel like I needed to belong here. And so you need to know that. And thank you so much. It's changed my life. I know. And everyone else, thanks for tuning in to Meet Lincoln. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care out there.